You see, one of the hardest things we face in life is waiting. Waiting for clarity, waiting for answers, waiting for something to shift, to move, to happen. We live in a world that conditions us to believe that faster is better, instant is ideal, and delay means denial. But here's the truth, delay does not mean denial. Just because something hasn't shown up in your life doesn't mean it's been taken away from you. It just means the timing isn't right yet. I want you to take a moment and think about a time in your life when you wanted something so badly, whether it was a job, a relationship, a dream, a moment of healing, and it didn't happen when you expected it to. You might have asked yourself, why not now? Why is this taking so long? But let me tell you something, you were being protected. You were being shaped. You were being developed for something bigger than what you were asking for. We don't grow in the outcome, we grow in the waiting. We grow in the space between the question and the answer. And I know it's uncomfortable, I know it feels like you're being forgotten, but you're not. You're just in the process of becoming the version of you that can hold what you've been asking for. Sometimes we pray for strength, and then we get resistance. We ask for love, and then we get loneliness. We ask for clarity, and then we get silence, and it's confusing. It doesn't feel like progress, but it is. That resistance is building the very strength you asked for. That loneliness is carving the space for the kind of love that's meant for you. That silence, it's not empty. It's full of answers that haven't formed words yet. Here's the catch, we think we're ready. We think we're prepared. But if we're really honest with ourselves, there are things we want right now that we wouldn't know how to handle if they arrived today. The opportunity you're waiting for might require a version of you who's more grounded, more disciplined, more emotionally intelligent. And life or God or the universe, however you name that force, knows that, so it holds it back, not to punish you, but to protect you. Because if you force something too early, you can end up breaking it, and worse, you can end up breaking yourself. Think about this. If you plant a seed and dig it up every day to see if it's growing, you'll kill it. But if you trust that growth is happening beneath the surface, even when you can't see it, that's faith. That's maturity. That's alignment. So many people give up not because the dream wasn't real, but because the timeline didn't match their expectation. And that's where we miss the mark. We focus so much on the when that we lose sight of the who we're becoming in the wait. See, life isn't about getting what you want right now. It's about becoming who you need to be so that when what you want arrives, you can sustain it. Not just touch it, but hold it, live in it, be worthy of it. Let me say this clearly, God's delay is never random. There's a reason, there's a season, and you might not understand it today. But when the timing is right, you'll look back and thank life for not giving you what you wanted when you wanted it. Because you weren't ready, or it wasn't ready, or both. What feels like a no might just be a not yet. And that not yet could be the very thing that's saving you from a painful yes. So if you're in the middle of a delay right now, if you're waiting, wondering, praying, hoping, don't lose your faith. Don't rush it. Don't try to hack the process. That space you're in, that's where transformation happens. That's where trust is born. That's where character is shaped. And most importantly, that's where you learn to surrender. Because the truth is, you don't need to know when. You just need to know that it will, and that's enough. That's more than enough. God knows when. There are moments in life when everything goes quiet. You look around and nothing is moving the way you hoped. Doors aren't opening. Answers aren't coming. And it feels like the world has gone still. You're doing everything you can. You're showing up. you're working hard, you're trying to stay positive, but inside you're asking, why am I still here? Why hasn't anything changed yet? And it's in that silence, in that stillness, that doubt starts to creep in. You begin to wonder if you missed something, if maybe you're not doing enough, or worse, if maybe you're just not enough. But here's what I want you to understand. Just because life is quiet doesn't mean life isn't moving. Some of the most powerful shifts happen in the hidden seasons, the ones no one sees, the ones you don't even understand yourself. See, we're trained to believe that growth has to look like motion. We think if we're not moving forward, we're falling behind. But that's a lie. Sometimes the most significant progress is happening underneath the surface. Think about nature. A tree doesn't grow taller every day. It grows deeper first. It builds its roots long before its branches stretch toward the sky. Why? Because what you don't see is what sustains what you eventually do see. That quiet season you're in, it's not punishment. It's preparation. It's protection. It's there to shape something inside of you that can't be rushed. You might not be able to explain it, and that's okay. Not everything meaningful has a blueprint. Sometimes it just requires trust. You know, people talk about breakthroughs like they just happen in an instant, one big moment, one big decision. But most breakthroughs are the result of small, unseen steps taken in private, in pain, in uncertainty. It's the long nights of questioning, the early mornings of discipline, the days where you keep going even though you feel empty. That's what builds the strength that no one sees. That's what creates the power behind your eventual rise. I want you to hear this. If it's quiet right now, that doesn't mean you're lost. It doesn't mean you've failed. It doesn't mean you've been forgotten. It means you're in the cocoon. It means you're being redefined in a way that can't happen in the spotlight. You're becoming something more refined, more focused, more capable. But it takes time, it takes space. And it takes silence. We don't like silence because it forces us to face ourselves. It strips away the noise, the distractions, the validations, and what's left is just you. But that's where the real work begins. That's where transformation is forged. You can't build a fire without pressure. You can't create a diamond without heat. And you can't step into your full power without being broken open a little first. You're not being overlooked. You're being aligned. Life is removing the pieces that no longer serve you and replacing them with something stronger. But if you interrupt the process too soon, you won't receive the full strength of what was meant for you. There's wisdom in waiting, there's power in patience, and there's transformation in the silence. I know it's not easy. I know it's frustrating, but listen to me. Growth doesn't always look like elevation. Sometimes it looks like isolation. Sometimes it looks like confusion, and sometimes it looks like nothing, but that nothing is not empty. It's full of everything you're becoming. Your capacity is expanding, your character is deepening, and your vision is sharpening, even if you can't see it yet. So don't despise the quiet season. Don't wish it away, lean into it. Ask what it's here to teach you. Listen closely, because often the most profound revelations come in the softest whispers. You're not stuck. You're not behind. You're exactly where you're meant to be, even if it doesn't make sense right now. The bigger the purpose, the deeper the preparation. And sometimes the silence is just God rearranging the pieces so that when the timing is right, everything falls into place with precision. The hidden season is not the end of your story. It's the part where everything changes. So often we're focused on what we're waiting for. The job, the relationship, the healing, the breakthrough. We have our hearts set on a goal, a vision, a future we want to step into. And when it doesn't show up on our timeline, when it doesn't unfold the way we imagined, frustration kicks in. Doubt starts to whisper, maybe it's not going to happen, maybe you're not worthy of it, maybe life forgot about you. But I want to offer you something that flips your perspective. What if while you're waiting for it, it's also being prepared for you? Think about that. You're not the only part of the equation. You're not just waiting for the opportunity. The opportunity is also waiting for the right version of you. The person you're becoming through every delay, through every struggle, through every quiet season. That person is exactly who needs to show up to receive what you're asking for. Because if the right thing shows up at the wrong time, it can feel like the wrong thing. Timing isn't just about you. It's about everything aligning. You're building capacity right now, whether you realize it or not. You're learning patience. You're developing strength. You're finding clarity, not just about what you want, but about what you don't want. And while you're doing all that, the thing you're asking for, whether it's a person, a calling, a new season, is evolving too. It's shifting, maturing, being refined. So when you finally meet it, it's not just what you hoped for. It's what was meant for you, and that's a powerful difference. See, a lot of people try to chase timing. They try to force doors open that aren't ready yet. They hustle themselves into exhaustion, trying to make something happen on their schedule. But real power comes when you shift from chasing to aligning. When you trust that if something is truly meant for you, it won't pass you by. It will meet you at the exact moment you're meant to receive it. Let's get real here. If everything you ever wanted showed up in your life tomorrow, could you handle it? Not just taste it for a second, but actually sustain it. Could you keep it healthy, hold it with both hands, honor it, nurture it? Because most of the time, the version of you asking for it isn't the version of you that can fully carry it. That's not judgment, it's growth. That's development. And that's what this season is about. You're not being punished. You're being built. Every lesson, every closed door, every detour. Those aren't obstacles. Those are the sculptors of your next season. They're shaping your mindset, your emotional resilience, your wisdom. They're building the depth you'll need when you finally step into that opportunity. Because when the moment comes, it won't be about luck. It'll be about readiness. So while you're waiting, stop asking, when is it going to happen? And start asking, who am I becoming while I wait? Because that's the work that matters. That's the transformation that lasts. That's the preparation for the thing that's also evolving to meet you. And listen, don't assume just because something hasn't arrived yet that it's not coming. Just because the person hasn't shown up, the offer hasn't landed, or the path isn't clear, it doesn't mean it's gone. It might just mean it's not done becoming what you truly need. There are people right now who are growing into the kind of love that can meet you at your level. There are opportunities forming behind the scenes, teams being assembled, strategies being designed that you haven't seen yet because it's not time for you to step into them. But when it is, when it all aligns, you'll understand why it couldn't happen a moment sooner. And when it does show up, it'll feel different. It won't feel like chasing. It won't feel like reaching. It'll feel like recognition. You'll look at that moment, that opportunity, that relationship, and you'll realize, this is what I was waiting for. And not just this, but who I became while I waited for it. This is why you don't quit. This is why you don't rush. Because what's being built for you is worth the wait, and so are you, God knows when. Faith isn't something you prove when everything is going your way. Faith is what shows up when nothing makes sense, when the plan falls apart, when the timing is off, when the silence gets loud, and the path ahead is foggy. That's when real faith is tested, Not when it's easy to believe, but when it's hard. When believing feels like the most unreasonable thing you could possibly do, and you still choose to believe anyway. There's this idea people carry around that if you're doing everything right, life will unfold on schedule. You'll hit your goals, get the promotion, find the relationship, get the answer you prayed for, but life isn't linear. It's not neat, and it's definitely not predictable. There are times when you're doing all the right things, and still, doors stay closed. And that's where your trust gets stretched. In those moments, you'll be tempted to force it, to make noise, to demand clarity. But sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is be still. Not because you've given up, but because you've learned to trust that just because you can't hear anything doesn't mean nothing is happening. Silence isn't absence. Silence is a signal that says, lean in, stay grounded, something is forming. And your job isn't to control it. It's to stay aligned with it. You've got to stop treating silence like rejection. You've got to stop interpreting the unknown as a sign that you've been forgotten. Silence is sacred. It's where your character is refined. It's where your intuition gets louder than the noise of the world. It's where you become the kind of person who can walk forward without having every answer. That's power. That's real leadership. That's growth. See, anybody can be confident when things are clear. Anyone can believe when the evidence is in front of them. But that's not faith, that's comfort. Faith is choosing to believe before the evidence shows up. Faith is walking into a season not knowing how it ends, but knowing who's walking with you. It's standing in the middle of the unknown and saying, I don't have to know how, because I trust the one who knows when. You can't build real trust without uncertainty. If everything was guaranteed, if every move was predictable, there would be no need for faith at all. But life doesn't work that way. It gives you uncertainty on purpose. It gives you detours, delays, and disruptions not to break you, but to build the muscle of trust that only gets stronger when it's tested. And let's be honest, sometimes you're not supposed to know the full plan, because if you did, you might try to skip ahead. You might sabotage it. You might settle for something less just to feel in control. But when you don't know, when you're in the dark, that's when you're forced to slow down, to pay attention, to ask deeper questions. That's where the real transformation begins. You learn how to listen differently when the answers don't come fast. You begin to hear the whisper under the noise, the whisper that says, keep going, keep showing up, keep trusting. You begin to understand that life isn't asking you to know everything. It's asking you to hold your belief in the middle of the unknown. And I get it. It's not easy. It takes courage to believe in a promise you can't see yet. It takes strength to keep planting seeds when you haven't seen the harvest. But that's the level of commitment that separates people who experience a breakthrough from those who quit in the silence. Don't confuse stillness with stagnation. Don't mistake quiet with inactivity. Just because you can't feel it doesn't mean it isn't real. The foundation is being poured, the connections are being made, the shift is happening beneath the surface. And you're being prepared in ways you won't fully understand until one day you wake up, and everything that once didn't make sense suddenly does. And on that day, you'll realize why you had to wait, why it didn't happen sooner, why you had to walk through the silence instead of around it. Because it wasn't just about the destination. It was about the trust you built on the way there. You'll realize the silence wasn't the gap between the question and the answer. It was the answer. God knows when.